2 days after Obama does his State of the Union address, he is planning on having an interview with 3 separate YouTube celebrities. Now, there are 3 separate interviews that he will do, and all of these big YouTube personalities will actually field questions from social media and YouTube. And they'll also get the opportunity to ask some of their own questions, and the Obama administration is saying that none of these questions will be fielded ahead of time by the Obama administration. They're not going to vet any of the questions. It'll be spontaneous. Now, let me tell you who the 3 YouTube celebrities are. There's Bethany Mota, who is a teenager on YouTube, and she's known for doing haul videos. There she is, very beautiful girl. Also, Glozell, who has been on Pop Trigger here at the TYT Network. She's a comedian. And also Hank Green. He's another YouTube personality, and he's known to comment a little bit on politics. So he's probably, out of all 3 of them, the most well-versed, I guess you could say, in the political spectrum. Anyway, with all that said, it's really interesting because I don't know if I necessarily agree with the decision that YouTube and the Obama administration made. I mean, it's kind of weird to have a teenager who does haul videos asking you questions after your State of the Union address. But nonetheless, nothing against the actual YouTube personalities. Again, this was a decision made by YouTube and the Obama administration.
Okay, so YouTube is the company we most closely work with. We really have a great relationship with them. So let's endanger that right now.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's burn some bridges.
Again, nothing but love for every person named there. They're all good YouTube stars. Hank Green's a really, really smart guy. Glozell was great on Pop Trigger, yada, yada, right? But the reason they don't have to vet the questions is because they already vetted the people who are going to ask the questions.
Exactly.
Okay. Look, obviously, Young Turks is #1 news channel. TYT is the #1 news network on YouTube. Young Turks is the #1 news channel online, period, right? So if 2 days after the State of the Union address, President Obama wanted to have a real conversation about politics and what young people believe, young progressives believe, or want to ask questions about that, they knew who to invite, right? Yeah. But the reality is they knew who not to invite.
Exactly. So if you want to have a fun question full of, fun interview full of softball questions, and look, that's not to diss the YouTube personalities. Look, what they do is not related to hard news and politics. What they do is related to entertainment, right? And the Obama administration knows that, YouTube knows that. They don't want to stir the pot. They don't want to ask provocative questions. And I think that's the part of it that's the most frustrating. And coming from a very personal perspective, it's also frustrating because I feel like on YouTube, we're not silly and wacky enough to be considered like part of the YouTube club, right?
No.
But then, yeah, in the mainstream press, we're not considered serious enough. So where is our place?
Yeah. Our place is with over 85 million views that watch us every month.
Exactly.
38 million uniques. That's where our place is, with 38 million Americans and all across the world. Okay, so now, don't get me wrong, I also want to defend these guys because Jim Acosta from CNN did ask the White House spokesperson a question. We have that on tape, right? So let's take a look at that.
You announced before the briefing that the president is going to be doing these YouTube interviews, or a YouTube interview with several different people after the State of the Union address. Just noticing that these folks who are going to be conducting these interviews are not professional journalists. They're videos on YouTube, and I'm just curious, was Charlie Bit My Finger or David After Dennis not available, or
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, maybe you haven't seen those videos, but
I don't think I have.
I mean, does some of this suggest that maybe the State of the Union is not what it used to be, and that you sort of have to jazz things up? Is that?
I think what you can take away from this, Jim, is that it is a variation on an engagement strategy that we've used in previous years. You'll recall that in the aftermath of the State of the Union, the president has participated in Google Plus Hangout with people from across the country. You know that the president has done YouTube interviews in the past. And this is just a variation on that theme, that this is a way for the president to spend a little time talking about some of these issues that he'll discuss in the State of the Union with individuals that have a large presence on YouTube. And it certainly doesn't take the place of the kinds of it doesn't take the place of the news conference the president will be convening with all of you tomorrow. It doesn't take the place of the public events the president will do after the State of the Union when he travels across the country to talk about some of the things that he'll discuss in the State of the Union address. So this is part of a an integrated communication strategy to make sure the American people understand exactly what the president's fighting for in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so that disgusted me.
Yeah, it's very par for the course for
yeah.
the mainstream press.
CNN's Jim Acosta was like, was Charlie Bit My Finger not available? They're so silly over on YouTube. We're the real journalists. Hey, listen, when's the last time CNN broke a story, huh? You don't want to break a story. You don't want to be a watchdog of the government. You're a lapdog. You're sitting in their lap very, very comfortably. When's the last time you did real journalism, investigative journalism? You don't do any of that. The reality is the people actually challenging the government are online. Now, that's why we're a little miffed that given an opportunity to have those people ask the president real questions that those so-called journalists sitting in that room would never dare ask him, right? I mean, nobody even asked about the drone strikes and the kill list that he has. He personally authorizes the killing of these people on threadbare evidence. Malala Yousafzai had to go in there. That's a girl who was shot in the head by the Taliban at the age of 15. Had to go in there and ask the president. Now, see, there's a young person, right, that is not part of the establishment media who's willing to challenge the president. Well, there's plenty of people on YouTube willing to challenge the president. Those are not the people they want to talk to, right? So a decision was made somewhere where they said, no, give us softballs. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily what they're going to get, because a lot of these guys are really, Hank Green's a great guy. A lot of these people are terrific people. Maybe they surprise him. And they ask him really tough questions that pricks like Jim Acosta at CNN, who are so smug with, couldn't you Charlie Bit My Finger? Like, ha, 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 we're the real journalists. If you're a real journalist, why didn't you hold anybody accountable? Why, when we went to war with Iraq, did 69% of Americans believe that Saddam Hussein personally was responsible for 9/11. What happened, CNN? Where were you? 7 out of 10 Americans were misled. I thought you were the most trusted name in news. Where were you? You lied to the American people. You aided and abetted the Bush administration in their grotesque lies. And hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives. And then you might even want to make fun of people online who actually challenged the president, President Bush, President Obama. That's why, look, I know what the Obama administration wants to do. They want to be cutesy, right? They want to go out there and they want to say, oh, we did Facebook, we did Twitter, we did YouTube. And look at that. Hey,
we're reaching out to
we're reaching out to young people. As long as they're safe and don't bother us, right? Yeah. And so that's part of their integrated communication strategy. I know, but even they don't believe it. You see Ernest's reaction there? His reaction is like, oh, don't get me wrong, it's not real journalists. Of course not. They're not real journalists. They're not real journalists.
Yeah,
you guys are the real journalists. We're going to take the real questions from you because you guys have been all trained as our dogs. And you all know your place and your role, and you're going to sit there and ask me softballs that are within the acceptable range of questions. You're not going to make me uncomfortable talking about the president's kill list. You're not going to make me uncomfortable that they just cleared the CIA from spying in on the Senate, which we know they did and which we know is illegal, but we're not going to do a goddamn thing about it. You're not going to make me uncomfortable about the fact that we never prosecuted all the people who broke the law and tortured people. That's okay. I'm going to take questions from YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately, both parties aren't going to ask Obama the questions that we need answered. But, you know, this is it makes me reminisce about what happened after Obama was first elected. Okay, I believe it was during his inaugural address. And it was the very first time in American history that a blogger, and it was a blogger from the Huffington Post, I believe it was Ryan Grimm, I could be wrong, got to ask the president a question. And people, including Mar Liasson from NPR at the time, were livid. The mainstream press could not understand how an administration would take a question from a blogger. Never mind that in that case, the person asking the question actually had a history in the mainstream media. He had a history as a very serious, credible journalist, but they didn't care. It's like, oh, you're working for Huffington Post, which at that time wasn't taken as seriously, right? And it's not even about them laughing about it. It's because they feel threatened.
Yeah. Well, they should feel threatened. I think it was Sam Stein. And part of the reason they should feel threatened is CNN, how you doing on YouTube? I mean, you guys have billions of dollars to spend. You must be crushing us, right? I mean, we're just little YouTube shows, right? I mean, you're mauling us, right? I mean, here you are. Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, right. We're 5 times larger than you.
Damn.
5 times larger than you. You know, soon we'll be going around and be like, I mean, are you going to take questions from CNN?
Yeah.
Or from Anderson Cooper? Well, once he's done with the New Year's Eve party, maybe he'll ask you a question about what you're wearing. Go ahead.
Damn.